let's talk Jackson Dart. I have, through this whole process, I actually had Jackson Dart rated higher than Cam Ward. In fact, I had Jackson Dart as my number 1 rated quarterback in this draft. But I'm going to go with my guy, Jackson Dart. I understand he's not going to have a full season unless Brian Daboll changes his mind. Brian, or anybody that has access to Brian, if you're listening, do not start Russell Wilson. You cannot benefit at all. When Jackson Dart comes in, he is going to take the world by storm. Yes, this is another PB prediction. He is an instant winner. He has it. He has every single intangible needed to run an organization, a franchise, a team. And there's very few people, in my opinion, very few people, especially starting out, that could come in the New York market for the Giants or the Jets and be that guy. So Justin Fields over with the Jets, Jackson Dart, and Justin's been around a while. Jackson Dart with the Giants, that's the personality. They will embrace him. He will produce, and that roster has ability that play to his talents. I'm going to take Brian Daboll in his offensive genius, and what I believe Jackson Dart to be one of the greatest quarterback talents to come out of the draft in the last 10 years, folks. I said it. He'd be the best NFL rookie quarterback of this draft. I said it with Jaden Daniels. That streak's going to continue. Jackson Dart is my rookie of the year.
Yeah. Oh, man.
He's going to be better than Eli Manning. I'll put that out there, too. Jackson Dart's going to, barring injury, I have to qualify it always by saying that. Barring injury, he's a better quarterback than Eli Manning. What's up, you guys? A little intro there about Jackson Dart. How's everybody doing today? Hope everyone's had a great Sunday. Wherever you are in the country, I'm in Florida. It's a beautiful day today, 84, 85 degrees and sunny. Hopefully you have some of that where you are. I'm guessing there's not a whole lot of that in Ohio today, and in quite a few other places as fall kind of sets in around the Midwest and other places around the country. Cincinnati with the field goal to cut the lead to 17-10. Green Bay up over Cincinnati. All right, guys. So tonight, Luke is not going to be with us. I'm going to kind of cover, do a recap of today's action or lack thereof. One of the worst football Sundays I can remember. There's a few good games in there, and there's certainly one coming up tonight that we're going to talk a lot about. But not overall a very good Sunday. And I'm going to talk about some hot button topics that I'm sure is on a lot of your minds around the country, having a lot to do with your head football coaches, maybe your owner, and maybe a hack reporter in your city and in your state. So I will get to that in just a minute. All right, so I understand what the NFL is trying to do, right? Trying to expand the game globally more than what it already is with these London games, Ireland, etc. What in the hell? Like, it was 9:30 this morning. I know it was a little bit early. What the hell was that? Was that at the NFL? Was that the CFL? Was that NFL Europe? What was it? 13-11? What in the world is that? If there was ever a case of a pretty good football team, the Denver Broncos playing down to your competition, that was it today. The Jets had no business even being in that game. And if I'm Sean Payton, I'm having a talk with my team. What are they? He's going to probably give them tomorrow off on Tuesday on the plane, wherever in the locker room. That just can't happen. You cannot perform like that. How could the Jets even have a chance to win the game? Basically, at any point, okay, maybe you slow start a little bit because the time's all screwed up. You're on a whole different time zone, a different body clock. You know, it's kind of standard for everybody to start out a little bit slow, but all game long is like sleepwalking. The Jets are a terrible team that can't even put up points. Is that 11 points, 2 of which is a safety, 9 points, 3 field goals. You can't score a touchdown. And you're Denver with a terrific defense, which obviously it showed, but you played probably the worst, 1 or 2 worst offenses in football. Just really, really bad. And there were some other bad games, the Pittsburgh and Cleveland game. I'll get into that in a minute. You know, that was awful. You're looking at some of the afternoon games. Why is Green Bay, which obviously you could see I'm a Lions fan. You could see the stuff behind me. If you don't know me, born and raised in the city of Detroit, first 19 years of my life, moved to a suburb for the next 43, or excuse me, making myself older than what I should be. The next 33 years, and about 50, almost 53, I moved to Florida full time, which is where I'm at now. So, a born and raised Detroit Lions fan now and forever. Where was I? I lost my train of thought there for a moment. That game coming up tonight, obviously, will kind of save the day from some pretty bad matchups. Green Bay is what I was going to say. Green Bay, who, although I'm a Lions fan, I have talked highly about Green Bay. Matt LaFleur, a lot of talent over there, and they just have looked awful the first 5-6 games. They sure beat the hell out of us in week 1. But since then, they're struggling with bad teams. 17-10 against the Bengals with a 40-year-old non-mobile quarterback who just took them down the field a little bit ago on a 9+ minute drive. You're in Lambeau and you're struggling to score. It's kind of crazy. I guess that's the NFL, right? 1 week can be so different than the next. 1 month can be so different than the next. The quarter pull, first 4 games could be different than the next 4, et cetera. I see they're moving the ball a little bit now out to the 47. I guess maybe try to extend out this lead and hold off Cincinnati to go 3-1-1, and Cincinnati would be 2-4, and for all intents and purposes, out of it. I mean, they were out of it before they got Joe Flacco. The Eagles asleep at the wheel the other night, and if you were here when you saw the intro, totally expect that from Jackson Dart. I've been on his train since March 12th, trying to tell the world about what we would see for him. DeSantis appreciation. Welcome to the show. Quite a few of you here. Welcome. Thank you for joining in. As I said, the Eagles sleepwalking first 5 or 6 games. They're sleepwalking. It's a Super Bowl hangover and then some. They don't look good. There's interior strife, internal strife. A.J. Brown, as usual. It was funny. I put a graphic out that said Devontae Smith was the better of the 2 wide receivers anyways. I felt that way for quite a while. It just seems like he can do different things, different route tree, get open, can do pretty much anything, whereas Brown is more like, let's toss the ball up and see if he can get it type of thing. There's a lot of problems there. It's interesting. I've never seen a worse press conference than Mike McDaniel. Joe Biden made more sense. Is that today you're referring to, or the one last week where he couldn't even speak? I didn't see today's, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did it back-to-back weeks. The Raiders obviously don't look good. They're struggling a little bit today with another one of the worst teams in the NFL, Tennessee. Let's see who else we got here. All right, the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, that's been a hot topic. I've been all over that for quite some time. The whole Shedeur Sanders thing, the prediction on January 19th. I saw something today about 11 o'clock, 12, about to 11, 12 o'clock, something like that. Mary Kay Cabot, who is a beat reporter and writer for, I forget, Cleveland Plain Dealer or whatever it is. Please don't quote me on that. I don't know which paper she writes for. She shouldn't be writing for any paper. And my understanding from some of the people that I talked to in Ohio is that she's basically the right-hand person or so to get information out from Jimmy Haslam. Some 2 hours before the game, literally, guys, you got to look this up. It's on my feed on X here. She's talking about Shedeur Sanders is the guy and all of the ability that he has. And I think there was some stats in there and some accuracy and things like that. 2 hours before the game starts, you're playing Pittsburgh on the road in Dylan Gabriel's second start. It's almost like sabotage. It isn't a writer in Cleveland that's not a beat, like on the beat, and is basically the number one person that's interviewing the coaches and the players. I don't understand. I don't know that it looks like Green Bay is going to score again here. They're inside the red zone. I've never quite seen that where somebody would just anti the direction of the team. There's so much battle going on in there. Listen, here's the deal. Kevin Stefanski needs to be fired. When Luke and I did the pregame this year, it was Stefanski, it was Zach Taylor, and it was Mike McDaniel, who we had up on the hot seat. you can't continue with Stefanski. I wish I was a fly in the room. I did the Cleveland Browns Bermuda Triangle the other day, which had Stefanski at the point, and it had Barry at the bottom corner, and it had Stefanski at the other corner. It looks like Green Bay scored a touchdown, 16-yard run. Is that Jacobs again? No, pass. Tucker Kraft. So 23-10, or about to be 24-10. 7.5 minutes to go. It's like, I don't understand what's going on there. I think it was Haslam that made the decision on Sanders, and I have a feeling Barry and Stefanski didn't want him. And Haslam is like in a indirect way putting pressure on to try to get the public to have an outcry enough for Sanders to then put him in. And I think there's been resistance, which is why the hesitation to put him at 2, and waiting for Watson to clear. And it's just a mess. And again, I'm a Lions fan, and this I talk about this all the time. It's deja vu because it feels like how we were for so many years, where you just couldn't get it right. Nobody knew what they were doing. It's so dysfunctional. You have a meddling owner that can't get out of the way. He's constantly doing something against the best interest of the team. It's almost like it's in the best interest of him, which you should do the best interest of the team, which would then maybe take care of you and put it in your best interest. But he's not. He really should stay the hell out of the way and hire football people and let them do what they're supposed to do. But he can't apparently do that. So I guess does it make sense in the middle of the year? What are they, 1-4? Does it make sense in the middle of the year, 1-4, 1-5? Does it make sense to do that in the middle of the year? Who are you going to hire at this point? Who's going to take the job at this point? Honestly, who would want that job? I'm not sure that there's a line of people that are on, say, hey, put me on speed dial. I want to talk to you about that job. I don't know. There's so much going on in there. And I don't think that these potential head coaches want to deal with this whole Shedeur Sanders thing. And, then Watson comes back, and then you got Gabriel. And I didn't see the whole game, in all honesty, but I was following it on my phone, at least on Gamecast, and I saw drop after drop after drop. Hey, what's going on there? ETF 42. Welcome. Drop after drop, Judy, unnecessary roughness. It's almost like there's a sabotage going on. And it's really sad to see. There's a lot of players in that room that care. There's people in that organization that care. I just don't understand how this is being allowed to go on. And, on the Miami subject with Mike McDaniel, who should have already been fired. Thank you. I appreciate that. Love your content on Whitlock. He's talking about Jason Whitlock. I've been on a couple of times in the last week, this past Monday, and last Thursday, a week ago Thursday, I was on with Jason Whitlock in his Fearless podcast. And if you haven't, do subscribe to Jason and check out his show. It's pretty good. So if the Miami deal, I don't know if anybody saw Tua in the post-game press conference. I mean, this is as revealing of an inside look inside of a building without being in the building that you could possibly find. Tua is a really reserved, quiet guy, but he unloaded today, and he said that there are players that are not showing up for players-only meetings. There's players that are showing up late for players-only meeting. He said there's a lack of guidance. When you have your starting quarterback, and I'm sure of all of you that are on here right now, many of you might disagree and say that he shouldn't be the quarterback of the team. Well, whether you believe that or think that or not, or he should or shouldn't be, he is. And everything starts and ends with the quarterback as much as it does with the head coach. And he threw him under the bus, and he should. Mike McDaniel can't even dress himself, to be honest with you. This is not like where you go and you do a fashion statement. Put your damn self together. Look like you're organized and you're functioning as a productive adult, and you have the ability to lead a franchise. Last year, when it was a wintry condition, dude was bundled up like an Eskimo, and like he needed to go inside of a heater because it's just like was kind of sad to see. And I know coaches need to bundle up, when it's 0 or something above 0. I get it. You don't want to necessarily be Andy Reid and have icicles coming down your mustache. I get it. But it's like you're sending the wrong message. And I think the guy sends the wrong message every day. And now your quarterback, who's Mr. Laid Back, just threw you out. So Stephen Ross, Michigan guy, the business school at the University of Michigan is the Stephen Ross School of Business. I mean, make a move already. Literally make a move. It's embarrassing. And again, what are you going to accomplish in the middle of the year? You're not going to get anybody. You're not going to have them at the end of the year. Get rid of them now. So I got Mike McDaniel, Stefanski, Zach Taylor. Ready for this name? John Harbaugh and Mike Callahan in Tennessee. John Harbaugh, I heard it today and it kind of struck me. It's not like I didn't know this, but 19 years, I think it is, 18 or 19 years as the Baltimore Ravens head coach. Really? And it's a lot like Tomlin is 18 or 19 over in Pittsburgh. And they're doing pretty well this year. What are they, 4-1? So they're obviously in a much better spot, and the record is reversed for Baltimore. And it wasn't going to be good with Lamar either. They're just a bad football team, and they're conservative, and they don't have the proper weapons, and it's just kind of like blah. And it's like a new voice, a new change, a new direction, a new philosophy. Otherwise, if you're a Ravens fan and you're tuned in here, and if you are, give me a shout here. Go in the comment section and tell me how you feel. If you're in Tennessee, tell me. If you're in Cincinnati, tell me. If you're in Cleveland, tell me. If you're in Miami, tell me. I'm curious. I don't think I'm out on an island by myself feeling this kind of way. It's bad stuff. And it was 80 degrees in Miami, probably hotter on the field. McDaniel was wearing a hoodie. It wouldn't surprise me. I didn't see that. But it would not surprise me in the least bit. He's one extreme to the other. Yeah, it was 85. I'm in Fort Myers, Florida. So Miami's even a little bit warmer, about 2 hours south, about 200 miles and 2 hours south of where I am. So it's even hotter there. So it's like Aaron Glenn and with the Jets, there's people saying fire Aaron Glenn. All right, I'm a little bit of a homer or a little bit of a favoritism towards him because of the Lions. He just got there. Exactly. I don't want my head coach wearing capris. Exactly. It's like I don't even, whether it's football or whether it's, I don't know, volleyball. It just shouldn't be. It's just not a good look. Do that shit someplace else. You want to go out with your friends and look like that, I suppose, but don't go on the sidelines like that. The glasses, he just looks disheveled, man. He just looks unkept, looks like a mess. But yeah, if you're in one of those cities and you're just had it by week 5, 6, this is week 6, you had it. I don't think Aaron Glenn should be fired, guys. There's nothing there. The cupboard's bare. Justin Fields is not a starting NFL quarterback. Boy, I've been saying that since the Chicago days. And then it's like, okay, so you don't have anything else. So he's who you have. Old coordinator, I saw him on the sidelines, and dude just looked like he was, deer in headlights in his first ever experience around football. And what the hell was that at the end of the first half? Horrible clock management, which ultimately comes down to Glenn. You don't know what you're doing. Your team doesn't know what you're doing. It's 4th and 1. I believe, did they have one timeout left? I can't recall if they had one timeout left, but you're at or near the 50. That is one shot to the end zone, right? A maximum amount of plays and opportunities you want to give your team to make a play. And you go into the half, you let the clock expire, and everybody's looking around like, what the hell just happened? And Garrett Wilson runs up and starts hollering at Aaron Jones. As a former coach, I mean, I don't subscribe to that. I don't think that that's a good idea. But how do you, man, Cincinnati's driving here. I don't see how you can't do that. You're a professional, and it looks like it's romper room over there. And Dan Campbell, you see him on my sign back here, in my opinion, objectively, he's the best or the second best coach in all of football. He started out 0-6. But we saw a direction, and it takes some time, but I don't have the faith for the Jets fans that the organizational structure over there above Aaron Glenn is like what we had above Dan Campbell. I mean, you had Brad Holmes coming out of St. Louis from underneath Les Snead, and he was responsible. I say Brad Holmes was responsible for drafting Aaron Donald, Jared Goff, Michael Brocker, so many guys. And he learned and he learned and he honed his craft, and then he came to us, and then he ended up getting Brockers, and he traded for Goff, and he's had knockout drafts. So I don't think the Jets have that over there. So it's going to be a minute if you're a Jets fan. and you have Justin Fields as a quarterback, and it's just not going to work, guys. It's just not going to work. And I think you have to know that inside the room. So why are you dropping back against a heavily aggressive defense? He's not a drop back quarterback, 3-5-7 step drop quarterback. He's never been. So roll him away from pressure and get him in an option, throw or pass, or excuse me, throw or run option, pass or run option, and just let the guy play some street ball, because that's really all he is. You're going to try to confine him into a system, you're going to score 11 points, which was technically 9 if you take away the 2 points. So, the things that we saw today, and look at the Dallas Cowboys. Skip Bayless, I haven't checked in on him, but hopefully some people did a wellness check on Skip Bayless, because he was over the moon, and Dallas is not as bad as you think they are, and all this type of stuff. Dallas can't stop, anything. It can't stop a fly. I mean, that's Carolina. That is not down to the 24. 1st and 10 at Green Bay's 24, down 14, 4:53 left if you're not watching. Cincinnati driving with old man Flacco, gray beard, no. Skip's got to be hurting today because they let Carolina beat him. And Carolina, I don't even know who they are. 1 week it's 30-0. Next week they won 30-0. Next week they get blown out. Next week they're competing with Dallas, who's got a pretty good offense. Then they come up with some key stops. It's like, what in the world is going on? Crazy stuff. The Raiders, I wanted to touch on this. And I'm a huge Tom Brady guy. Again, you see him behind me, Michigan guy, the whole nine. I was screaming about it around the draft. The Raiders should have never drafted Ashton Genty at number 6. That's a luxury pick. You should be a very good team across the board with not a lot of holes to have go blue. To have, they didn't look so good last night. USC whooped up something good on them. And talk about another hot seat. Sharon Moore is on a hot seat now. People are pretty upset. So you don't take Giante at that spot. And I don't know what the malfunction is with people. If you cannot protect, you cannot do anything. If you, both sides of the ball, offensive line, defensive line, if you can't stop the run or be stout up front, you're going to get manhandled. If you can't protect, then you can't run an offense. That's what you're seeing from the Jets. That's what you're seeing from the Raiders. That's what you're seeing from so many teams. Tennessee. You can't even evaluate Cam Ward. There's somebody in his face. Cleveland, Dylan Gabriel, there's somebody in his face. If people think putting Shedeur Sanders in is going to change anything, so Sanders is going to run for his life like he did in Colorado, run around in circles, 10, 15 yards in the reverse. It's not going to work. And I just don't get, Brady, why he did that. You got to take an impact player that's going to be a 10-year anchor and give yourself an opportunity to put somebody else. And I was calling for Travion Henderson to be their pick in the second round, put him behind an upgraded line or an upgraded D line for that matter. And you put Giante, who struggles to even get 4 yards of carry. And part of that is him. And part of that's the offensive line. So I don't totally understand that at all, to be honest. And I think, you can't get that pick back. So think about what the Giants did with Barkley. Was that the right move years ago with Barkley? I don't think so. Was it the right move for the Eagles to go get him? Yeah. When you're two players away, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But when you're trying to rebuild a franchise, not so much. Yeah, the Ravens 17-3, man. What was it? Cooper Kupp out there. Then they pulled him. I don't want to make fun of people's backup quarterbacks because the Lions, give me some wood somewhere. If something happened to Jared Goff and we had to put Allen in, it would look a lot the same. So we're not set up, nor are they, like a San Francisco, to have Mac Jones come in. And there's a couple others. Not a lot of teams have a solid backup. Jacoby Brissett came against the Colts today, 31-27. At least they were competitive, right? Let's see. Yeah, Joe Flacco. They scored? Oh, they kicked a field goal. No, they scored a touchdown. Holy smokes. 24. Jamar Chase, 19-yard touchdown. Wow. See, that it shouldn't even be a game. Green Bay does not look good. Man. Let's see something here. Yeah, Jamar Chase was supposed to be out in the game. That's crazy. So yeah, the backup quarterbacks is it's limited as solid number twos that can step in and hey, could Jake Browning do that? I can sit here and make fun of Flacco all I want, and I can even say, that Green Bay is playing bad and all that, but still you have to come in and make the plays. I mean, he played twice in the same week. It's like pretty hard to argue that. It's pretty hard to argue that that's pretty much an upgrade from what they had. So props to Joe Flacco, and they asked him, which I thought was very interesting. Why do you want to keep doing this? And why would you want to go to Cincinnati, right? You go from Cleveland, like he's obsessed with Ohio or something. You go from Cleveland and you go there. It's like, what? I don't know. He says, he prepared his whole life to do this and he wants no regrets. When he's 50 years old and he's sitting back, he doesn't want to look back and say, he didn't give it all he had. And you got to respect that, right? But Cincinnati, they're not going. They're not going anywhere. They're just not. But props to somewhat make it a ball game. I say 24-18. They went for 2. Wow. 6-point game. 4:11 left. All right, so on this game tonight, so Sunday Night Football, in my opinion, this is top two of the top 5 teams. Now, why would I say that about Kansas City? Because of last year, and people said, there's an issue with them and this and that. I saw something happen a couple of weeks ago where it changed up quite a bit, and they seem to be clicking more. Now, I know they lost on Monday night to the Jaguars. I got it. Jaguars, Flacco's a consummate pro. He is. You can't argue that. They lost to the Jaguars, which is a pretty good team. They didn't play well today, and maybe they were a little hungover. But it's like Patrick Mahomes is the difference maker any day and twice on Sunday. He's at home at Arrowhead. This is a moment he lives for. The Tyquan Thornton edition from New England, with Worthy being back, mostly healthy. Kelsey, although he's 3/4 married and his head is in the weeds somewhere, he's still there. You got Hunt, you got Pacheco that are serviceable, and you got the young stud coming, more and more involved. Rashad Davis is working himself into it. Juju Schuster. They got some guys over there. When Rashee Rice comes back, it's like, okay, that's legit. Now, the Lions, there is no team. I talk about the Browns a lot just because it's in the news a lot, and people want to talk about that, and they want to hear that. The Lions are a sensational team, and I'm saying this objectively. I'm not just saying it because of what I have here or what I have there or Dan Campbell on the sign. It's legit, and they can play you and beat you any way you want it. They can play you in hot weather, cold weather. They can play an aggressive front. They can play a heavy blitz scheme like a Brian Flores in Minnesota. They can play you any way you want. If they got to run the ball, physical, they can do that with Montgomery. If they want to be more slashing, great speed to the outside, be able to pass the ball out of the backfield and somebody could go 80, you have Gibbs. You have Goff, who is incredibly efficient, basically right now having the best year of his career. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's an incredible leader, tremendous drop back passer. He's very accurate. He has put to rest the whole I can't play outside BS, which was real for a while. He's outside again tonight. I looked around and I saw a lot of the prognosticators and the analysts almost universally have Kansas City winning by their 2.5-point favorite, have them winning by 3 or better. Guys, it's going to be a phenomenal game. I think it's going to be back and forth. The Lions have some serious injuries going on again. Everybody does, but it always happens to one unit. DJ Reed, Deion Branch, so many guys Yeah, I agree with you. ETF, are you from Michigan? I mean, you're talking Go Blue and you're talking Lions here. Are you in Michigan? Um, it's like so they can get physical with you. They can mash. They can move you. Extremely well coached. They're very good. Special teams. They can do a lot of different things in moments like this. But this is going to be a tough game. The Lions have a funnel defense, and you have those players out. No, originally I'm from Minnesota, a Vikes fan. Originally from Minnesota. Where are you now? What state are you in now? Um, wow, Green Bay's on the 29 now. Huh. It's I live in Houston. Okay, so he's a Houston Texans fan. I mean, he says Vikes fan, but that's another team that's a bit disappointing. To be honest with you, I like D'Amico Ryans and what they're doing. CJ Stroud's got a lot of ability, but they can't seem to put it together. But back to the Lions in playing you any way you want it. Incredibly well coached. See, people gave, in my opinion, people gave Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson too much credit. It's really Dan Campbell who's the genius behind the scenes. And to be quite honest with you, Dan Campbell is also an offensive genius too, I think. In any of you who have watched it closely, when he took the play calling duties over from Anthony Lynn in year 1 or 2, and you saw the whole offensive mentality and performance change, and then that's when Ben Johnson came into the picture and took over the role. It's really Dan Campbell behind the scenes, and it's Brad Holmes above him that just keeps on churning out players, churning out players. And I say this all the time. I get into debates a lot of time with sports people around the country that talk about windows. This is not a window for the Lions, just like it's not a window for KC. When you are of that level and that organizational structure, so you see Kansas City, they lost Tyreek Hill. You see Kelsey getting older now. So you get a Rashee Rice, you get a Xavier Worthy, you get a young guy who was just drafted in 22, Tyquan Thornton from the Patriots, and I have a feeling they might go get Nick Chubb. That's just a hunch that they go get Nick Chubb to kind of shore up their backfield. And on the defensive line, they're funneling new guys, young guys. So when you're organizationally sound and you know how to draft and develop, and then when guys get to a point where they are making too much money and you move them along, and then you have somebody drafted behind and being developed behind, it's the Patriot way, right? And you just keep doing the same things and stay away from what Cincinnati, speaking of what Cincinnati's doing, spending all that money in 3 and 4 players, and then one gets hurt, and then you're kind of screwed. You really don't have anything to offer. So the Lions, the way that they're constructed, the way that they operate is basically second to none. So I say that objectively because I have to be objective. And if I felt that they didn't have a chance tonight, I'd say they wouldn't have a chance. I will say that this is going to be difficult tonight. It's going to be very difficult, and they're going to have a super, super hard time stopping and containing Mahomes. We have deficiencies in the defensive backfield, and even if frankly, even if DJ Reed was playing, even if Terrion Arnold was playing, Mahomes is just a next level guy, and he's playing at home, and it's just Mahomes at home is just next level type stuff. And him and Andy Reid are so locked again, and he's got weapons now. These guys can run all over the field. In one of the picks I did, I think I said, it was like Patrick Mahomes six or more rushes was like plus 115. I was like, huh? That seemed really, really low to me, and plus money. And I was like, you got to jump on that. I mean, he's good for 7-8 rushes, 9 rushes tonight. No problem. Quadeen Muhammad now down to Cincinnati's 21, 3rd and 2. See if they can hold them. 2-minute warning. See if they can hold them to a field goal. Quadeen Muhammad and Hutchinson, they're going to pressure him, and he's going to get flushed, and he's going to run the ball. So that's another team. They don't have the kind of running game that the Lions have. Probably a little bit better defense than the Lions have, and they obviously have Mahomes. I think it'd be hard to say take Goff over Mahomes. I mean, I love who we have, but it's like Mahomes is a difference maker in this type of game. So what I'm going to look for if I am the Lions, as I'm looking for a couple of guys that don't step up as much, need to step up. So I think Derek Montgomery is going to have a really big game today. His number is 37.5 on his prop rushing yards, really low. They're going to have to pound the ball a lot against the Chiefs. Keep the ball, try to control some clock. They could score with you and go, 1-for-1 if you need to, but why do that if you don't have to? When you have that type of running game and your line that has gelled and come together after the week 1 debacle. So I think you're going to see Montgomery get a lot of physical work. I think you'll see his attempts be higher. I think he'll blow by that 37.5 and be closer to 60. And I'll share the picks here coming up in a minute. I think I have 8 or 9 for everybody. And there's sometimes that I just feel like when I do these things, it could be a clean sweep. It could be a 9-0, 8-1, or 7-2 at worst. So I'll share those with you in a little bit. But they're going to be hard to stop. I think this game, if it gets up into the 30s, it's going to favor Kansas City. But the Lions can score 30, and I actually think the Lions are going to have to score 31 to win this game tonight. I really do. I don't know if 28 is going to be enough. I think one of the props I have on there is 27.5 for KC. I think they're going to score at least 28. So what do you got to score? You got to score 29 or more. You don't really get on the 29. So I think you're going to have to score, if you're the Lions, you're going to have to score 31 or 34, maybe even 35 to 38 to win this game tonight. And that's fine. Again, based on circumstance and situation scenario, and you're down some guys and you're on the road and the matchup that it is, you're going to maybe have to, go into a track meet a little bit, try everything you can. But no matter what you do, Mahomes is going to get his. It's just kind of like a Jordan or a Kobe. You can't stop those guys from getting 30 or 40. You're going to stop everybody else, and you hope that, they don't score 50 or 60 and just take over and beat you. That's a lot of the way that the analogy that I give for Pat Mahomes. He can just do something so extraordinary. He can come out and throw 4 touchdown passes tonight. I think he's going to have a phenomenal game. He looks trimmed up to me too, to be honest. He looks thinner. He looks quicker. He looks kind of reinvigorated. And it's probably because he's got, more weapons than he's had recently. And they're getting a little bit healthy, and they're stretching out a little bit in some of their games and not struggling as much, with the 1-point games and the 2-point games, still having close games. But last year was crazy. And I just think, you kind of go through that fatigue when you're winning so much. Mentally is kind of a letdown that's kind of built in with that. And then you need your ass kicked a little bit, and, it kind of brings you back. A very interesting statistic, and I shared this the other day on a live. 2018, 19, 2021, 2023, and 2025. Once in each of those 5 years, 18, 19, 21, 23, and 25, is the only time that Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes has lost 2 games in a row ever. So they lost the other night, Monday night. This would be another time, and it would be the second time this year. It's never happened more than once in those 5 years. So what I'm trying to say is they're just built to respond. They're built to rebound. They're not built to go on these, dumps where they just go down in the dumps for weeks on end. I don't think that's going to, what I'm saying? They're going to be at their very best tonight, and it's going to take the Lions their very best. And when I say someone else has to step up, Green Bay kicks the field goal. When I say somebody else has to step up, we need to see Jameson Williams tonight. We need to see Tesla. We need to see it come from somebody else, and not even like a Laporta. They're going to get theirs. St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs, Montgomery, they're going to get theirs. But there's got to be somebody else that kind of jumps up, kind of like Tyquan Thornton did for Kansas City the last couple of weeks, and Burchard for them out of the backfield is a young up-and-comer. He's not at the level of impacting the game like a Jameson Williams. And KC is going to be heavy pressure. They're going to pressure a lot tonight. They're going to send – it's not going to just be 4 guys. They're going to send 5. They're going to send 6, and that's going to leave somebody on one-on-one. And I feel sorry for those guys who are left one-on-one with Jamison Williams and St. Brown. I mean, that's their time to eat. And so I would expect one of those guys to step up big tonight and have themselves a game. In fact, it's got to happen. Really, honestly, it's got to happen. And they can beat you any way you want it. I say it all the time. They can beat you with so many different guys. They're loaded with so many weapons, but it's going to take some of the other weapons that aren't as constant as a Gibbs, as constant as a Laporta. Hey, what's going on, Jesus? Good to see you back, man. Thanks for jumping in. There's a lot of you here. Thank you very much for jumping in. Appreciate all of you. So I'm excited as all get out for tonight's game, and it just kind of cap off what was not a very good day of football, in my opinion. So it's a nice end to a Sunday. So I'm looking forward to it, and of course, as a Lions fan, I'm really looking forward to it. And here's the other thing, and for Detroit fans that are watching, when we used to have a Sunday night game, Thursday night game, Sunday night game, Monday night game, it was like this this feeling of, oh, we actually matter. There's actually people that are going to see us on that. We've always had the Thanksgiving game, but people get to see us on national television. And then there was a period of time when we had Barry Sanders and stuff. We played really well in those games. We beat the Cowboys one night. I'll never forget. It was like they showed up well. And then the rest of the time, they didn't do very well. The games that were not on national television. And we're on Sunday Night Football this week. We're on Monday Night Football next week, soon thereafter on Thursday for Thanksgiving. And I think there's already been one, and I think there's two more nationally televised Sunday or Monday night games. So it's like, as a Detroit fan, on this 4 years now, 4 years have been under the new administration. This is the 5th year, and it's like we're getting a little bit spoiled. And somebody mentioned just a little bit ago that the loss for KC, the loss in the Super Bowl, motivates you. And much like that, though it wasn't the Super Bowl, when you lose to Washington the way that we did last year after having the first round bye, that pisses you off, and it kind of centers you. I used to talk to my teams about this all the time. Sometimes you need that smack in the face, the wake-up call that says you ain't all that. And you get a little bit too far to the left, you get a little bit too far to the right, and something's got to happen beyond what the coaches can do to get you going to center and to get knocked down a few pegs and to get, kind of humbled is necessary. And I agree with that. That happened to Kansas City. It happened to the Lions last year. And now you come back with the second most difficult schedule in the NFL this year. Hell of a schedule. Legit. I mean, the Ravens aren't any good. Okay, but we had to play the Ravens, the Packers, Kansas City, and we have Tampa next week, and then we have a bye, and then we have Minnesota and many other games that are very tough. So it's a gauntlet of games, and they can, again, they're made for this. They would prefer to play tough teams. I think they're, like you saw Denver this morning playing the Jets. You a lot of times tend to play down to your competition when you're pushed. And maybe, you're a little bit of an underdog, and it's like, man, we got to step up and we got to meet this team. Everybody says this is the team, and we want to be known as that. And the Lions want to be known as that, and they are known as that. But there was some time there where I think that they felt that they were that. And it was no longer shooting for that. It's like everybody was shooting for them. And now they're back. They're going back to that, and they're now the target. And now most people have them ranked inside the top 3 in the whole NFL, and I think that that's accurate. It's pretty hard to argue that. They can beat anyone, anywhere, at any time. And if you guys haven't seen this, let me see if I can pop this up real quick for those of you who have maybe joined for the first time. Bear with me one sec. I should be able to get this up, no problem. So I made this this prediction here we go. When Dan Campbell took over the Lions, 3 weeks after his introductory press conference, and you got to think about this and go back to that time, how bad the Lions were at that time. And I came out and said this, and I got skewered, like literally thrown in the fire, and then a bunch of people put, some lighter fluid on it. I said that the Lions would be in the Super Bowl in 5 years or less. This is year 5. And so close 2 years ago against San Francisco, up 17 at the half, and they couldn't pull it out, kind of fell apart in the second half, and there went that. And so like it always is with me and everything in my life, it comes down to the end. It's kind of like, you got a test to study for, and you wait to the last minute. Boy, I sure waited 4 years. This is the 5th year against such a tough schedule. And so here we are. So this game tonight, while if Kansas City loses, their season is not over. If the Lions lose, their season is not over. With that being said, in my opinion, this is a top 5 most important game for the Detroit Lions in their history. Now, why would I say that? People are probably like, why? Like, what makes you say that? Why would you say that? Because even though this team does not believe or was not a part of the decades of horror, this would be a game in the past that the Lions would always go lose. Now, they've gotten rid of that stench, and they've won games that they're supposed to win. They've won games they're not supposed to win. They've won in places they're not supposed to win. They beat Kansas City in Kansas City, what was it, 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, to open the season, I believe, on a Thursday night. And everybody started to take notice then. Now here we go again. And historically, prior to Dan Campbell, this would be a shit show. They would wet the bed. And I don't think there's any chance that happens, but I believe you have to win this game. You have to win this game to keep the momentum going. You have to win this game to continue to show internally that you belong and that you are the measuring stick for which everyone else is trying to be. And again, I got all the respect in the world for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs, and what they've done is very Patriot-esque. And these guys want to win badly, and they know it. They know the Lions are one of the new guys on the block. We're looking at a potential Super Bowl preview tonight, and both teams know that. Seriously, both teams know that. When I was a coach, I would schedule non-league games against a team that I thought we would play in the championship. And Luke can attest to this. In our story, halfway through the season, I scheduled the unbelievable undefeated team every year, UAD Jesuit, that churns out so many superstar athletes into the college ranks and even into the pros. Cassius Winston, if anybody remembers him, for Michigan State, lots of guys go through that program. And I scheduled those guys midway through the season. We got our doors blown off, but I knew that, hey, I wanted to get the deer in the headlights. I knew that we were probably going to lose. We were probably going to lose bad, but I wanted them to face that then in a game that didn't count in terms of the schedule, but that we knew about it, and it was a measuring stick game, and we weren't measuring up very well. And then we ended up playing them in the championship. We were down 19 at half, and we cut it to 2 with 50 seconds left and came up just a bit short, lost by 4. And nobody played them that tough. They beat everybody by 15 or more, including us the first time we played them. So I think that this is a lot like this. It's week 6. Obviously, the Super Bowl is a long way away, but these guys are taking notes. And they want to win, and they want to, kind of set the pace, to be the pace car, and set the pace and get out in front, and try to play for home field, try to win your division, try to play for home field. Although, home field and buys, the Lions will attest to that. That didn't work out too well last year. And those teams that struggled just before the end of the season, it's like they go on these runs 6-1 to end the year, and they're humming, and you don't want that to stop. And then you get this break, and it's like you step away, and then you come back, and you're a little bit kind of off, kind of a little bit stale. And that happened to us last year. So I would look for all those signals tonight. You're going to see in Game 6, this is a playoff-like atmosphere tonight. Arrowhead's going to be rocking. The KC does not want to lose this game for reasons more than record. Lions don't want to lose this game for reasons more than record. It's a show-me game. It's a prove-it game. It's mano-a-mano. It's probably the best of the AFC and the best of the NFC, or at least, KC and Buffalo is in that conversation. I don't know who you'd say is with us in the NFC at this point. I don't think you could say Philly. I'm not convinced some of the other teams that you could say that, but they want to win this game. And I think we're going to see that come through. Now, a lot of times you have these, two Titanic type figures, and then the game is just kind of like a flop. I don't think that's going to be it tonight. I think they're going to come out flying. Both teams are going to come out with incredible intensity. I think you'll see execution. Both teams are so well schooled. They're so experienced. They're so through. Like there's a Dan Campbell kind of guy and an Andy Reid kind of guy and a handful of others, and then there's everybody else. They understand how to prepare their teams for games like this on the national stage, where a lot of people either it's a slow start, they don't perform well, the bright lights. Like I have a lot of lights on me right now. They get under these lights and it's like they melt and they just fall down. Neither team is going to do that tonight. I think you're looking at a 7-point standard, 7-point or less game either way. And I just don't think it's going to move. But I'm curious, those of you who are here, watching live, do you agree with this? What I have up on the screen? I'm curious, whether you're from Detroit or not. Do you believe that the Lions will be in the Super Bowl this year? Hit me up with a comment. I'm curious. People from the outside, from other cities, how you feel. If you agree with that, and if you don't, whether you do or you don't, who do you think's coming out of the NFC? Who do you at this point? Who do you project come out of the NFC and out of the AFC? Let's hear it. Is Buffalo going to finally get over the hump? Is KC going back again? We know Baltimore's not in the conversation. Are the Chargers going to be there? Is Houston Texans going to be there? Hey, Jesus, what state or city are you from? He's always talking Spanish. Where are you from, Jesus? DeSantis, are you in Florida? Are you still with us, DeSantis? Are you in Miami? You're talking about Mike McDaniel. Anyhow, drop those comments there, and I'll keep an eye on it. All right, we're gonna get to the picks here. I got 9 of them. 8. Actually, they're all props. Let me pull that up. All right. Oh boy, I wrote 2 of the same down on there. Let me figure out why I double marked Mahomes. All right, so for starters, Patrick Mahomes over 266.5. I think he's probably at 300, if not even a little bit more. This is tailor-made for him to pile up the yardage. Obviously, got to stay healthy throughout the game. They're going to have to keep up with each other. They're going to have to score and move the ball. So the Lions, again, are a funnel-type defense. He's going to pretty much be able to get what he wants, and they're going to try to save and stop the over-the-top pass to Horton or Thornton, and Worthy. But he should get past the 266.5. I'm going to skip the second one. I have a different list here, or the same list, but I'll figure out who is supposed to be in that second spot. Xavier Worthy will be on the receiving end of that at 60.5 yards. Is kind of a low number, especially against the Lions and what they got going. So he should get past that. As I said a little bit earlier, I kind of teased it. The Chiefs will be over 27.5 points. That's 4 touchdowns. I think we're looking at a 31-28, 34-30, type of game like that. So 28 points should not be out of the realm for the Chiefs. We might have a Travis Kelce sighting tonight. Mr. I'm married and I'm on a podcast and I'm doing all this stupid stuff. He's older now. I mean, this is a moment where Mahomes needs him. 44.5 is not a lot for him, so I would expect him to step up and beat that number. Tyquan Thornton, I've mentioned earlier. This is a ladder up number. His actual number is a little bit less than that. I think this is plus 145 on the 40-plus receiving yards. I like that pick. He's been solid the last couple, 2-3 weeks. He's going to present a problem for the Lions defense. They're not going to be able to stick with him speed-wise. So I think he goes past 40 and probably near 55, 60 type range. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a lot of pressure coming from Spagnuolo's defense tonight. And, he's going to play at 60, 65% of the snaps. And I think you're going to see some dump downs from Goff. And especially you might see a 2-minute drill at the end of the half or potentially at the end of the game. That's where he really thrives on that. So 28 yards is not very difficult for Gibbs to do that. He can do that on one run. He can for sure do it on 2 or 3 receptions. So I would expect him to go past that. Derek Montgomery, much the same. Very underrated wide receiver out of the backfield. 2 catches, not a lot for him. Again, he gets some 2-minute work sometimes, and 2 catches, not very difficult. And again, when he's in the game, the rush is coming, and he chips, and he flares out of the backfield, and there you go. And then over 37.5 rushing yards. I think this is a big game for him. This is a big moment. I think they will lean on him a lot for tough interior yardage against Jones and crew there. Not that Gibbs doesn't run between the tackles. He's just a little bit different type runner. Montgomery's more physical, sets the tone, these types of things. So I think you'll see Montgomery be up over 50 yards rushing. And again, the 1.5 receptions, call it two receptions, is not out of the realm of possibilities. And let me see where I screwed up here. So that's 2, 4, 5, 7. That's 9 on the screen. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 on my paper. I see. Mahomes 6 plus rushes. So Mahomes is the top one, is 266.5 passing, over that, and then 6 plus rushes is what it's supposed to say. He's going to get flushed again. Quadeen Muhammad on the one end, Hutchinson on the other. There'll be some blitz packages. Derek Barnes, a great blitzer. Anzalone too. They'll be in his face, try to force him to do some other things. And I think six plus rushes is not very difficult for him. This dude, the most awkward looking guy who runs the way he runs, is like, I learned a long time ago to not have that fool me, because he can really do some things. So again, Mahomes over 266.5 passing, Mahomes over 6 plus rushing attempts. Xavier Worthy over 60.5 yards receiving. The Chiefs 28 points or more. Kelsey over 44.5 yards. Tyquan Thornton laddering up 40 plus receiving yards. Jahmyr Gibbs over 27.5 yards receiving. Derek Montgomery over 1.5 receptions. Should be able to get 2 to 3 without too much issue. And then I really think this is pretty much the top one of this entire board. This and the Mahomes passing yardage would be Montgomery over 37.5 yards. For some reason, that number's low. A lot of times he's around 50, 51 on the props. And, sometimes that's at home. So let's just even say 45, 46 on the road. There's a lot of value at 37.5. That's just not real difficult for him. He's basically a 5-yard to carry back most of the time. So he's going to get, 9 to 11 carries tonight. So it's simple math. If you're 4.5 to 5 yards a carry or better, and you have nine rushes, that's, takes you past 38. So that's the 9 picks for tonight. I think you guys will have some good luck on that. Parlay some combinations of that, but certainly Mahomes and Montgomery's rushing are what I would put I should have put the stars on them. You could say Thornton is a close third on that. As the top 3 that I would look to parlay together. And there's some pretty good odds on that because of Tyquan Thornton at 40 plus receiving yards. I think you can get that at plus. Look for the best place to do it, but it's a plus 125, I think, or plus 130. So that'll help your odds. 100 will get you probably 400 or 350, 3.5, 4 to 1, somewhere right in there. So again, we've been going for about an hour tonight. And again, this is a measuring stick game. This is an NFL who's in charge type of game. How this goes is going to tell a lot for the rest of the year. I really believe this is an opportunity in week 6. We're not even halfway through the year, although we are six weeks in, and enjoy this because these weeks go by so fast. Lions fans, enjoy this moment. Sometimes we pinch ourselves. Sometimes we start to take it for granted. We're used to bitching. We were used to bitching. Like in Cleveland right now, X is blowing up. Everything's blowing up in Cleveland. That's all they're talking about is chaotic things. There's not anything positive being discussed. That is what the shows that would go on post-game was must hear or must, this is before podcast days, really. It was must listen to radio. It was like the craziness, the yelling, the screaming that's going on in Cleveland. And you get so hungry, you get so sick of it. And it's like you want to win so bad. But then when you win and you're expected to win, it's a change. It feels different. People don't bitch as much. If they went and laid an egg tonight, people would bitch. After they lost to Green Bay, believe me, in the way that we lost to Green Bay, people started bitching. People got nervous. Oh, shit, there it is. There we go with the windows closing. Look what happened in Green Bay. This is how you're going to start the year, and you're playing this schedule. And then all of a sudden you run off 4 straight, and it's like, oh, okay, we're number 1 again. You know, in the media, the pundits, so to say, the prognosticators are saying, yeah, the Lions are the best team in the NFL. Okay, well, what were you saying 3 or 4 weeks ago? Or after week 1 and you get to week 2, week 3, it's like, so you changed your mind that fast? One game isn't going to change it all. They did play horrible in that game. I don't think either one of these teams is going to take a step down tonight. You're going to see these guys at their best. This is how football should be played, in my opinion. What we're going to see tonight, this is a matchup, a dream type matchup. These London games, man, I don't know if it's just me or what. And yet, Colts are looking tough. No doubt about that. Yes, they are. But can they do that for the length of the year? And if they should get in the playoffs, can they do that in the playoffs? I'm not so sure about that. But yes, man, Daniel Jones has steadied that team. Tyler Warren, you kind of knew that coming out. And there was some talk about maybe he wasn't the best tight end. Get the hell out of here. Oh, and you know what? It's a non-pro topic, but James Franklin getting fired today. You know, there's a lot of wow. So Big Ten land, right? Michigan, Big Ten. We've been seeing this for years. This guy should have been fired like 6 years ago. How he made it through there, and then he had that little bit of a run where his team is in the top 5. You want to talk about a guy who has had his team unprepared more times than not? James Franklin is the king of that. And sometimes it just needs a new voice, and sometimes it just wears thin. Maybe they felt because Drew Aller's out for the rest of the year that no better time to do that than now. But he's just not getting it done. I saw something in the offseason where the players were kind of throwing them in the pool and they looked like they were having fun. And it kind of got my attention. I said, oh, okay, maybe the chemistry has changed. Maybe they really, it's a tight-knit group. No, it's not. And $49 million buyout? Seriously? Where does this shit come from? Like, if you suck at your job, whatever it is, why does somebody got to pay you someone's got to pay $49, $49. Yeah, they wish it was $49. The boosters and everybody else got to step up and come up with $49 million to take him on a buyout to get rid of him. That's insanity. Total insanity. And for you Michigan guys out there, let me do again, non-pro topic. The Michigan Wolverines looked like ass last night against USC. All right, USC's improved from last year. I'm still not a big Lincoln Riley guy. He can draw it up offensively, but we'll see if this keeps up. I don't know why you go invest $10 million in a quarterback over 4 years. It's 10 or 12 million over 4 years, so right in that range. And you don't give the guy any downfield threats, and everything's in front of, basically in front of the defense. You can't take the top off in any kind of way. So everybody pushes up. And if everybody's pushing up against a predominantly run team and then a rookie freshman quarterback, it's like, well, you're Michigan. You're the University of Michigan. How did you not have that on your shopping list? How did you not have that on your wish list? And they do this shit year after year after year. There's serviceable guys. There's some pretty nice guys, but it's been years since way back when you had the Anthony Carters and you had, I'll say somebody like Braylon Edwards. They had some guys that could take the top off the defense. There's been nobody really over the last 4 years, 5 years in Harbaugh's run, not designed that way. I get it. But if you're going to bring this guy in, you're not paying him all that money, and he's got all this talent. And he's the number 1 rated quarterback in the country. And you basically, it was like, can he throw a pass past 8 yards? There's no patterns developed past that. Now, they were in his face all game. I got it. But even when they're not in his face, he looks uncomfortable. He looks like they got the lock and key on him. And Sharon Moore, I think, is, what was the number? I saw it today, 7-4, I think, in the last 11 games. Not looking so good coming off a national championship. The Michigan people are getting pretty restless. Even though I'm from Michigan, I'm not vested in them like I once was. The Harbaugh years really pissed me off with all the games. Yes, he got his national championship and all of that, but I didn't like the way that it was done. I didn't like the cheating. I didn't like the lying over and over and over. I didn't like the Rich Rod years. I didn't like the Brady Hoke years. And I just kind of got spent. And I checked out of the program. But I watched it last night, and they did not look good. Solid defensively for the most part. But I don't understand how you can be so devoid of what you need to put around that guy to be successful. You lost some guys to the pros. I get it. Colston Loveland was a terrific tight end. You don't have that right now. But even that's not stretching the top of the defense. You need to be able to force people. You need to be able to force the people to respect over the top so that they don't, totally lock up and put 8 in the box to stop you. But dude looks confused. He looks strapped, as in they're holding him back. Let him go. What do you got to lose? Let the guy play. These coaches sometimes, and I'm telling you as a coach, I can't stand over coaching, over conservative. Oh, yeah, we got to bring him along slowly. How's that working out? You can destroy the bad teams or the lesser teams, but you play somebody on the road like that and you got housed, and you really were never even in the game. And if you need to put a drive together, you really can't. Oh, that's 3 yards, 4 yards, run, hand it off again. 3rd and 3. Let's try to get a first down. It's just kind of old. It's really, really kind of old. It's about the QB fit into the system. See Drew Aller. Yeah, that's true. But you got to build the system, and they haven't built this. Yes, Michigan lost their top running back, and they have one of the best running backs in the country. I don't think their offensive line is as good as it's been in the past, but you're devoid of weapons for the guy to get the ball, playmakers, right? And it's like the guy is like trying to move. He can't move. He's trying to get the ball out to somebody, and it's like, 4-yard hitches and things like that, flares out of the backfield. It's like defenses are going to key in on that. They're going to key in on that all year long. So what time we got here? We got 7:38. Game starts in about 40 minutes or so. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I'll be texting or tweeting live throughout the game and see how some of this plays out with the props and kind of how I thought the game would go. I think we see a high-scoring game. I don't what is the over-under on this game? Believe it or not, I don't even know. Got to be 52. 51 and a half. I don't have that on my picks, but I find it, I find it kind of hard for it to be under that. I do think this game gets in the 30s, 34-28, 34-30, something like that. It's going to put you way past 52 points, right? That's 8 touchdowns. These guys are good for 8 touchdowns. I don't know that they're going to be able to. Sometimes offense can just beat defense, and neither defense is, even KC's, neither defense is shut you down, and matchup styles make fights, and this style here makes for a high-scoring game. I'm a little surprised that's not more closer to 53 and a half, 54. But I'll be live tweeting throughout the game and see if I'm on this or not. Let me close out on this, because there's quite a few of you on here. If you are not familiar with my background, please follow me on X. Follow us on X. Luke and myself, PB Sports Talk, at PB Sports Talks on X, where you are now. Or maybe some of you, and I didn't look at the feed here. Let's see. Yeah, there's some on YouTube. YouTube is at PB Sports Talk. There's about 440 or so videos on there. After the Jason Whitlock show, the subscribers went up, trying to get 1,000 subscribers. We were at about 823 before the show. So obviously, what's up, 1224 Threads? Welcome. You were here. That was you who said that about Drew Aller. 823 subscribers on YouTube. We need to get to that magical 1,000 to start helping us support the show, and more viewers, or more viewing hours of the videos up there. So it got a spike after Jason Whitlock's show, and I'm going to reinvest energy and effort towards getting shorts up there and long videos just besides the show. So keep an eye out for that. If you could subscribe, if you could share, please, with other people, that's much appreciated. I expect some national shows to be more in the works here in the future. I'm also working with some to get them on this show, and then I'll be the interviewer and let them speak. I have a lot of experience at that and other areas of my background. I look forward to doing that. But for those who are not familiar and kind of like this evolution of how we got here, on 2 days before the draft in 2024, you can see the video up online. I projected Jaden Daniels to be the best quarterback of that draft. Better than Caleb Williams, better than Drake May, the whole nine. And then I said that JJ McCarthy was kind of the 1A or 1B, however you would say it, 1A. But that Jaden was the best. That kind of got people to start noticing. Then on January 19th, I predicted Shedeur Sanders to be a 5th round draft pick. And I said he'd be a clipboard holder. And that's actually, and then I followed it up with a lot of things that came true about him. And then that's what prompted Jason Whitlock to invite me on his show. He was kind of blown away by that. No one in the world, no outlet anywhere in the world did that. We were the only. That really started to get us noticed. Now with the Jackson Dart prediction, March 12th and then August 30th, check it out. It's all over the feed. It's all over YouTube. And what I said about Jackson Dart, how he was going to shock the world, March 12th, best quarterback in the 25 draft. When Dable wasn't starting him, I said, do not start Russell Wilson, start Jackson Dart. When he comes in, he's going to take the world by storm. I also said that he'll go down as the greatest Giants quarterback in history, barring injury, and that would mean he was better than, obviously, Eli Manning, too. And I stand by that. It's only been a few games, but you can see what is there, and he's just perfect for the New York market. They just embrace him. That was fun to watch. I hope he tamps it down a little bit, honestly. I don't want him to go Shedeur Sanders, all that. Just tamp it down just a little bit. Love the enthusiasm, but kind of get it under control a little bit. So that's my background with this, and how it kind of started getting noticed. I have a lot of others. Tatum McMillan I had as the best wide receiver in the draft. He had 2 touchdowns this year. I had Malik Neighbors as best in the draft in 2024. I talked about Bo Nix would be better than Drew Brees when he was drafted and got united with Sean Payton. There's a whole litany. Caitlin Clark, when she got injured the second time, I predicted she'd be out for the year. I had doctors. Literally, I had doctors telling me off. This is what I do. And I go, well, I was a coach, and I know how to read people. And they didn't, give the full disclosure about her injury. They probably forced her back, or she forced herself back. And when you see somebody go to tears and you see somebody put a towel over their head and tap the backboard stanchion padding with your head and go to the bench and cry, you knew right then and there. So Michael Penix is going to be a superstar. Travion Henderson is going to be better than Ashton Gente. There's so many up there, guys. A lot of them have come true. A lot of them are in the process. Justin Herbert would be a Hall of Famer. I said that 2 days before the 24 draft. And this has kind of really got us on the map. So I love to make the predictions. They're very bold. I hit most of them. It's kind of a weird thing. And again, this is one more thing. If you guys have not seen this, I'll close with this. In 2016, I nearly lost my life. I had a heart attack. First of all, I went into thyroid storm. Okay. I had a bad thyroid. I wasn't taking care of it. I wasn't taking the medicine. And I went into what's called thyroid storm. And usually when you go in thyroid storm, when you go in, you don't come out. You go out in a body bag because your heart is racing. And generally you go into cardiac arrest because the thyroid is not operating correctly. And so we rushed me to the hospital. I had 190 over whatever blood pressure. I had 153 resting heart rate. They threw me in the chair on the bed. They gave me an EKG. And it was 153 was the resting heart rate. They raced me down the halls. They got me into a room. 7 nurses come at me. They get me on the gurney. They got the paddles out. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And you can code out, whatever. So it got really bad. I ended up developing pneumonia, sepsis. I went into a coma. They put, because I could no longer breathe. That breathed for me for 3 days. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. And I had a heart attack while under. And then when I came out of that, they gave me a couple of days to get healthy, and they had to get the thyroid out. Normally, you would blow it up basically with iodine with a radiation treatment, but I was so weak that they couldn't do that, so they had to remove it. So I had heart attack, sepsis, pneumonia, thyroidectomy, thyroid storm, fell out of bed, staples in my head, 3 weeks in the hospital, 4 months of recovery. And ever since that day, lucky to be alive, something happens with the predictions. It just sounds crazy. You guys probably think I'm like some psycho dude. I was always a creative mind. I always had a tendency to anticipate some things, but since that day, I don't know. I just see things differently. And, Jason's like, who is this guy? How does he know this? How did he know this? I don't know. It's just a strange thing. 35 years as an entrepreneur, you understand, as a former coach, you evaluate talent, you evaluate behavior, you evaluate people's tendencies, strengths, weaknesses. And I'm 53, been around a little bit, and you kind of put these pieces together and you start to see things. And if you understand sports talent, it doesn't always work out. I was wrong on Aiden Hutchinson. I didn't think he'd translate to the NFL. Boy, I was wrong. That's one of the worst. I totally biffed. And that's another thing about me. I'll say it when I'm wrong. I'll say it when I'm right. I was wrong on that. Might be wrong on Sam Darnold too. My co-host Luke is a big Sam Darnold guy. I didn't think he'd go to Seattle and do some things. He's doing some things. So I might be wrong on that one. But anyways, I hope you guys follow along. I come up with them constantly. It's kind of a fun thing to do and get the banter going back and forth. It's either a wow or you suck. And boy, do I get hit a lot. Man, I predicted Shedeur Sanders would be a 5th-round draft pick on January 19th, and I'm a racist for doing that. That's crazy. When I say Jackson Dart's going to be the best quarterback in the draft and over Cam Ward, I'm a racist. But I love Cam Ward, and I hope he does well. And I think he's a great leader. He's in a bad situation without a lot of talent over there. But anyways, that's my story. If you guys haven't seen it, please, again, follow us on X at PB Sports Talks and subscribe on YouTube at PB Sports Talk, no S on the end. Please share it with your friends. We'd love the support. We're striving for that 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and then beyond. Somebody said to me the other day, you should have 100,000 subscribers. The fact that you only have 1,300, not subscribers, but followers on X is crazy. You're too good for that. I appreciate that. I don't view myself that way, but I hope you guys will follow. I hope you guys will subscribe. I hope you guys will tell people about us. Our shows are every single Saturday morning at 10 a.m. This week, we tried something different. We did it Friday night, kind of like a Friday Night Lights. It was 7 to about 8:30. Probably make a decision in the next day or two if we're going to do it on Friday again or if we're going to go back to the Saturdays. We'll let you know on that. Believe it or not, surprisingly, the turnout live was more on the Saturday than Friday night. That was interesting. Not as much as there is now. So this is kind of strange. A couple of you guys said that you'd like to see me do the recap on Sundays. I'm going to try to do that. So again, I appreciate you guys for joining. Thank you so much. Those that see this on record, I appreciate you as well. Everybody have a great Sunday night. Enjoy the game. 2 Monday night games tomorrow too. Actually lining up to be a couple of good games there as well. Atlanta, love what they're doing there. It should be fun. Again, I close this with all my shows and lives. I always try to remember, hug someone, hold someone, love someone. Life is short. You guys, again, thanks for joining. Have a great evening and a great week ahead. We'll talk soon. Good night.